Welcome to today's Explainer, everyone. We're jumping right in today because we have a truly fascinating atmospheric setup to talk about. Now, instead of our usual geographic tour where we just, read a map from the West Coast over to the East Coast, we are diving straight into the dramatic and, frankly, extreme meteorological contrasts that are literally dividing the entire continent this weekend. Let's get into it.
115 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the severe heat currently cooking Lake Havasu right now. I mean, we really have to start here to establish the visceral reality of what's happening out west. This isn't just a warm summer weekend. This is a dangerous, punishing heat wave gripping a massive portion of the country, and it sets the stage for everything else we're going to cover today.
Section 1. A weekend of extremes. Dramatic contrasts across the continent.
Because of these wild atmospheric gradients, we're grouping the weather by its tangible, extreme impacts on the ground so we can understand what people are actually facing. And this right here brilliantly illustrates just how extreme localized gradients can be. Coastal San Francisco is sitting comfortably at a cool 63 degrees, totally locked underneath a protective marine layer. But, and here's the crazy part, drive less than 60 miles away to Redding and you are baking at 108 degrees with extreme heat. Sacramento's at 103, Fresno's at 106, and Bakersfield is hitting 105. Even inland Los Angeles is sitting at 94. To see a 40-plus degree temperature difference over such a short commute, that is absolutely wild, and it shows you the sheer power of this air mass.
Section 2. Dangerous heat and fire. The desert Southwest, Texas, and the Mountain West.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here isn't just the daytime highs. It's the total lack of overnight relief. Take Las Vegas. They're hitting an intense 112 degrees, and the overnight lows are only dipping to 89. Just imagine trying to sleep through that. Your body literally never gets a chance to cool down. Phoenix is sitting at a dangerous 111 under relentlessly clear skies. Yuma's at 113. Palm Springs is at an extreme 114. And even Tucson, which is on the lower end here, is a bone-dry 107 degrees.
And as this massive heat dome pushes north into the Mountain West, the primary threat shifts slightly. Up here, it's not just the heat, it's the critical fire danger. Casper is hitting 101 degrees, triggering critical fire weather warnings. Then you've got Cheyenne and Denver sitting at 99 degrees with only a tiny 10% chance of rain that's really struggling to organize. When you combine mid to upper 90s in places like Billings, Rapid City, and Colorado Springs with incredibly low relative humidity and gusty afternoon winds sweeping across the high plains, well, you basically have a tinderbox.
What's really interesting is how this massive heat dome is asserting itself over Texas and Oklahoma. Austin is completely dry and locked in at 101 degrees. San Antonio's at 100, and Dallas and Fort Worth are tracking at 99. But then you look at Houston, it's 97 and very muggy. Up north, Oklahoma City and Tulsa are also in the upper 90s. When you add that Gulf moisture into the mix for places like Houston, those heat index values push straight into highly dangerous territory. Dallas does have a slight 35% chance of an isolated cell that might offer some brief relief, but make no mistake, high pressure is firmly in control here.
Section 3. Smoke haze spreading east, tracking wildfire impacts. So with all this dry heat and elevated fire risk comes a major secondary impact: wildfire smoke spreading eastward. This progression starts way out in the Pacific Northwest, where Portland, Bend, and Eugene are sitting hot and dry in the mid to upper 80s. As heavy smoke from regional fires drifts, it drastically lowers the air quality across the Columbia Basin. That leaves Spokane at 84 degrees, but heavily affected by smoke. Boise is at 92 with limited visibility, and even Seattle, sitting at a mild 81, is dealing with lingering haze. From there, high-altitude winds catch this smoke and pull it thousands of miles east. So even though cities like Fargo and Sioux Falls have relatively pleasant temperatures in the low 80s right now, their skies are filtered with a visible haze from fires burning several states away. It's all connected.
Section 4. The soup, humidity, and Gulf storms.
Moving over to the East Coast, the main story is the humidity. New York City, Newark, and Baltimore are all sitting at 90 degrees, but the real kicker is NYC's overnight low, 76 degrees. You step outside and you are instantly wearing the air. The atmosphere is just holding on to all that moisture. Philadelphia and Washington are climbing to 91 degrees, and as that daytime heating kicks in, it literally destabilizes the boundary layer, introducing a 25% chance of late afternoon storms. From Richmond and Wilmington down to Virginia Beach, we're seeing upper 80s, and Hartford is at 87. It's generally dry, but man, that heavy moisture makes these mid to upper 80s and 90s feel much, much hotter well into the evening.
Further south, that Gulf moisture is relentlessly streaming northward. From New Orleans to Mobile, you're looking at low 90s with incredibly high chances for storms. Down in Florida, sea breeze boundaries are triggering afternoon cells all over the place. Cities like Orlando and Tampa are sitting right around 91 or 92 degrees. Miami, West Palm Beach, Naples, and Fort Lauderdale are right at 90. Further inland, Atlanta is at 88 with scattered afternoon storms, and Charlotte is at 86. Basically, the entire southeast is locked into a daily, muggy, unsettled pattern where you never quite dry off.
Okay, so after looking at 115-degree deserts, massive heat domes, choking wildfire smoke, and suffocating East Coast soup, I know exactly what you're thinking. Is anywhere actually comfortable this weekend?
Section 5. The Havens. Pockets of mild relief. Thankfully, the answer is yes. If you live in these cities, definitely count your blessings today. Chicago and Minneapolis are sitting at a truly pleasant 80 degrees, getting a major, much-needed break from Friday's heat, with mostly sunny skies. Meanwhile, up in New England, Boston and Providence are benefiting from a modest onshore flow. They're sitting around 85 and 86 degrees, and those coastal breezes are bringing some really sweet relief from the oppressive humidity that's blanketing the rest of the eastern seaboard.
Section 6. Looking ahead. Changing patterns on Monday.
As the new work week begins, we're going to see some crucial shifts. Out in the desert southwest, a short wave is going to nudge temperatures down slightly into the 107 to 110 degree range. Now that's still highly dangerous, but it is a marginal improvement after days of punishing heat. Meanwhile, the mid-Atlantic is going to see a sharp jump in convective storm chances. A much stronger setup is arriving there. And over in the Midwest, cities currently in the mid to upper 80s, like Des Moines and Omaha, really need to brace for a much more active storm pattern as the next frontal boundary approaches.
And that brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Today, we've mapped out 115-degree heat, wild 40-degree temperature drops over just 60 miles, critical fire conditions, cross-country smoke, and destabilized boundary layers causing pop-up storms. As these intense temperature gradients and atmospheric extremes become more common, how will we adapt our daily lives to this new normal? How does this change the way we build our homes, the way we commute, or even just how we plan our weekends? It's definitely something to think about the next time you step outside. Thanks for joining us today, and stay safe out there.